Hello, all, and welcome to another What If series with Han. As always, how are you doing, Han?
I'm doing good. How are you, brother?
I can't complain too much. No one listens. So,
I know, right?
yeah, it's kind of the way it goes. So today we're gonna talk about something that Han knows a lot more about than I do, but we both like trains, so we thought, what if Atlanta's train hub, shut down just for a week? We're just gonna limit the damage to a week. What would that look like? And how much of a cluster F would that be? Because we're only talking about just Atlanta hub. So everything else is still rolling, everything else is still moving, but just Atlanta shuts down. What does that look like? So I'm gonna let Han start, and I'm gonna kind of chime in as necessary.
I will start with with my credentials on this subject. I've been with a Class One railroad out of Atlanta for 17 years. I am a licensed locomotive engineer, conductor, and remote control operator. So I work out of Atlanta for a major railroad. I'm not going to say the name of the railroad.
Yeah, yeah.
There's two options, so you can guess which one it is.
And it isn't Canadian National.
Although we do have your engines sometimes. We have Canadian National and Canadian Pacific engines sometimes.
Yeah, CP is the better rail, but yeah.
I'm really jealous because we get your engines and they have like a hot plate with a coffee pot and a
Oh yeah.
microwave.
Oh yeah.
We don't get that.
Anything Canadian's got a coffee pot in it, I guarantee
We
it.
we don't get that on my railroad. You're lucky that you have air conditioning. Because back in the day, they would actually pay to remove the air conditioning from locomotives.
Yeah.
The major manufacturers with all the computer stuff finally told them they wouldn't do that anymore because the computers need the cooling.
Yep.
So that's when we started getting air conditioning. And
Yep.
the FRA, the Federal Railroad Administration, which is who I'm licensed through as well as my company, they actually did make a ruling. I forget how many years ago it's been now. That any new engine or any refurbished engine has to have air conditioning.
Yeah. But no, I mean, some of our military vehicles have a coffee maker in it. So, yeah, no. And I don't even mean like knockoff. I mean like Tim Hortons approved kind of like, yeah. We take our coffee serious up here.
Apparently you do. Yeah, apparently you do. But you also have railroads that go places where you could be like snowed in for like a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you need ways to like make coffee and heat food
Yeah.
up.
If you go through the Rockies and you get stuck up there, you're a little.
A lot of your engines also have cots for
Yeah.
sleeping. So you could take turns like taking a nap or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I am based out of Atlanta. So that's kind of how we came upon the what if Atlanta shut down
Yeah.
scenario because I have firsthand experience.
Yes.
In the railroad I work for, Atlanta is a major hub for the southeast of the United States. So it would be a big deal.
Yeah.
That's lightly saying it
Putting
would
it.
be a
Yeah.
big deal. That's yeah. To put it lightly, it would be a big deal. Um, and I have small anecdotes that goes with us saying that it would screw everything up. I can tell you from experience, um, if one train breaks down from mechanical issues, from issues with something else in the train, a car having to be set out because of the wheel bearings being bad or something like that.
Yeah.
It normally takes 24 hours from one incident. It normally takes 24 hours for traffic to get back to normal
Yeah.
because it's a cascading effect.
Yeah. It screws the pooch, puts a
And
wrench in the wheel. Yeah.
we legally can only work 12 hours. So everybody, as we call it, go on the law. Everybody starts to go on the law behind the train that had the issue.
Yeah.
So then the train has to be recruited, and if they're short people or
Yep.
whatever, it normally takes at least around 24 hours. Could be less than that if it's not like a really bad delay, but if you're talking about something that delays like a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours, it screws the pooch for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So you can only imagine what would happen if everything coming in and out of Atlanta shut down for 24 hours.
Yeah.
It would not.
It wouldn't be pretty. No.
It wouldn't be pretty. And
So
another thing
then
that,
you
I'm sorry, go
worsen
ahead.
it by extending that to a week. 7 days.
Yeah,
7 full days of nothing.
Yeah.
Nada. No minor railroad, no major railroad, nothing. Nada. Now let's explore what could be done. So let's say every train shuts down. I think the only thing that could do that would be what? A strike.
yeah, a strike, or yeah, a strike. If it's only Atlanta, it would be something like a strike or some natural disaster
Yeah, natural disaster
happening in Atlanta that means that nothing can go in and out of Atlanta because the infrastructure is
is destroyed or something like
destroyed
that.
and they're trying to fix the infrastructure.
Okay.
Um,
That's probably more of a if everything shuts down, a strike scenario doesn't really cover that because you'd get your diehards that are going to work one way or another.
yeah, you would get people that would cross the picket line no
Yeah,
matter what.
and not only that, but then you'd get the smaller. So to all lines in and out are severed somehow. Some disaster comes up.
Yeah, we'll just say
completely-
natural disaster because
Yeah,
that
comes
would
up,
cover
destroys the
gamut.
infrastructure, so you can't get a train in or out for a week.
Yeah,
So the next obvious thing is okay. Well, we've got trucks. We'll roll trucks, so nothing will stop. What a lot of people don't understand, I don't think, is what one train equals. Right? So just one train alone, if let's say grain train, which we have a lot of up here. That's why I
we
divert
actually
to
get
grain.
some of y'all's grain trains when the
Right.
grain season's big. We
Yeah.
get lots of Canadian grain
Yeah.
trains down
So
here.
you're looking at 150 to 200 cars easy on one of the big long ones. You know, the double engine in the middle kind of train.
I'll use fancy terms. That's a DP train, which is distributed power. Is
Yeah. So you'll have like an SD90 in the front, and then you'll have an SD90 or two or a Dash 9 in the middle, and then you'll have cars behind that.
yeah.
So how many trucks are you associate and not only that, but where are you pulling the trucks from?
Well, and each, like you were saying, each car in that train, it's not like one car equals one truckload.
No.
One train car equals more than likely multiple truckloads. If
Yeah.
you're talking about freight, we would call that general merchandise or freight. If you're talking about like grain or tanker
Yeah.
cars or whatever. And there's not enough trucks to take up the slack. And even
No.
if there was, there's not enough road for trucks to take up the slack. So, the rails would be shut down and the highways would basically almost be shut down because there would be so many extra trucks on the road. That's what people, I mean, and not, to throw shade because obviously I work for a railroad, but everybody was like, oh, the truckers during the COVID. Oh, the truckers during the COVID. And it's like, you do realize that we're keeping thousands of trucks off the road by what we haul.
Yeah.
And nobody ever said, Oh, the railroad people. Because we had to work through COVID too. I never got a day off because of COVID unless I had
No.
COVID, which, is another story. But
Yeah. Well, the thing is with trains, you move. Not only do you move like your regular goods and stuff, but some of the stuff I don't know if you could transport on the roads.
there are some things that we transport that are very, very, very poisonous, and or things like radioactive waste.
Yeah, like I mean, could you
People don't
imagine how
want to
many
truck.
tanker trucks they'd need
Yeah.
to to to, to haul the oil that gets moved by rail?
I don't remember exactly, but I used to work a local that serviced industries and stuff like that. And they got tank cars of molten asphalt, basically hot asphalt.
Yeah,
Um, and I don't remember exactly right off the top of my head, but each tank that they got was at least two, if not three trucks worth.
yeah,
So you're talking about one car, like they would get 10 cars at a time.
yep,
So you're talking about that would be 30 cars. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sorry, 30
30
trucks
trucks.
to move that amount.
Yeah.
And we're not even going to get started on coal trains
Oh no.
because although the Green Initiative and all that stuff, we still haul coal trains that are thousands and thousands and thousands of tons. And each car by itself, again, would be multiple trucks. So
Yeah,
if you're looking at a train that has 128 cars of coal, take that and multiply it by like 3. That's how many trucks you would need to
yeah,
haul the same amount.
yeah. Which is why it got switched to trains in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people don't haul stuff by train just because trains are cool. They
No.
haul stuff by train because you can haul more cheaper than hauling it by truck,
Yeah.
because it's a lot more expensive to pay for 3 trucks for what you could pay for the railroad to haul one car.
Yeah. Like even containers. I mean, you look at containers, they're normally stacked.
Yep, double
So
stacks.
you get your two trucks right there. There's 2 trucks per car.
And we get
Or
trains
5 there.
into Atlanta that are containers that are 3 miles long.
Yeah.
So think how many trucks that would, and these are
Yeah.
double stacks, 3 miles long of double stacks.
Yep.
Think
Like
how many trucks that is.
yeah.
And
So
a lot of things, something else that people don't understand. There's such a thing as an inland port, and people would say, "Oh, an inland port? What are you talking about?" Atlanta is a major inland port
yeah.
because they don't consider the container delivered until it gets on the truck and goes to the customer.
Yeah.
So we have things that come all the way from California, all the way from up north. We have stuff that comes from Savannah, Georgia, Brunswick, Georgia. They take it from the ship and put it directly on a rail car.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to Atlanta, there is a intermodal yard in in Atlanta, like not far from Midtown, which is the yard I work in. There's also another yard just for intermodal in the metro Atlanta area, and that's all they deal with is containers. And they put them directly on trucks that then deliver them by
Yeah.
truck to the customer. So not only are you backing up train traffic, you're also backing up traffic from the ports. As
Yeah.
far away as Los Angeles and all the ports along the West Coast,
Yeah.
Long Beach, all the major ports on the West Coast.
Yeah. Because you'd have container ships unable to unload.
Well, and I sent you a link the other day that this is a perfect example, and this is on a small scale. They're trying to pass or have passed a bill in California that if you're an owner operator truck driver and you work for a company, you're not an independent contractor anymore. You have to say you're an employee of that company.
Ah,
So it may have, I think it was in Long Beach, I
oh, that'll
believe was the port.
facts and stuff.
Um, they owner operators went on strike basically
Yeah,
and parked all their trucks around the entrance of the port and were picketing.
yeah,
Just from doing that for several days, it backed up 50,000 containers
yeah,
because they didn't have drivers to get the containers that were taken off the ship.
yep,
So imagine a week of that in a
yeah. No train.
major inland port of 3 mile long double stacked container trains. And you have to remember some of those are the big, like 48-foot trailers, but some of those are 40-foot. Some of those are the big 40-foot trailers, but some of those have two 20-foot.
Yeah,
So that means one car could need 3 trucks
yeah,
or 4 if it's two 20-foot containers on the
yeah,
top and the bottom. So you take a 3 mile long train and you're talking about hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of trucks
yeah,
that are needed to move those goods.
yeah. And not only that, but you would have to, in order to facilitate the excess, you'd have to start like 100 trucking companies and buy out like 100, a whole bunch of trucking dealerships just to be able to get the trucks on the road to meet the demand.
And then the roadways could not handle the demand
No,
in the US or Canada.
no. I mean, as it is, I know here in Winnipeg, the truckers have routes that they're allowed to take. If you run Bison Transport has a scheduled route they're allowed to take to get from Bison Transport out of the city. They're allowed to go here, 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 then out this way. Reimer, other way. And they do that so that you don't have 100 trucks on Portage Avenue, right?
And our interstate system here, which is how most of the trucks travel. I mean, obviously, when they get to their closer in locations, they take highways and stuff like other highways and stuff like that. But no matter how much infrastructure is built, as soon as they build it, it's behind the times and maxed out.
Yeah.
They never get ahead
No.
of the volume.
No.
And, like again, I commute in and out of Atlanta. I'm around Atlanta all the time. The highways here are maxed out.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is trucks. I mean, it's obviously personal vehicles and stuff like that too. But on my daily commute in and out of Atlanta, a lot of it or most of it is 3-lane. Into Atlanta, it's more than that. But outside of Atlanta, it's 3-lane highway. It is maxed out with trucks.
Yep. If the rail shuts down in Atlanta, and it's not just like I think before we close out, I think what we got to really stress is it would shut down the country. I think
because a lot of people don't realize, oh well, it's just Atlanta.
Yeah.
How is that going to affect Winnipeg? How's that going to affect Chicago? How's that going to affect Los Angeles? Well, all those places have freight, cargo, containers coming into Atlanta. It's the major hub for the southeast of the United States. And all those things, just like if you get in a traffic jam and you're like, why am I in a traffic jam? There's no wreck, there's no accident, whatever. It's just the volume on the road of people.
Yeah.
Well, the railroad would be the same way. It would start from Atlanta and trains would stop and it would spread from Atlanta.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, well, there's other routes to get around Atlanta. Yes, there are. But there's a reason why things come the way they do and go through Atlanta. It's the fastest, quickest, easiest way.
Yeah.
And most of these side ways you could go are already maxed out on traffic. They're smaller routes. They're not the high speed rail that we have coming into Atlanta. And
Yeah.
they already have their own traffic. So, okay, let's add 20 trains
Yeah.
to a line that 10 trains is the max they can really handle on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And this
Not gonna
backs up.
happen.
This backs up all the way to Canada. This
Yeah.
backs up all the way to the West Coast, Los Angeles, Long Beach. Because if the trains can't come in, they just get backed up
Yep.
and they just get stopped. And eventually, there's only so many places you can stop trains. So then that backs up to the yard where the trains originate. Well, they can only handle so much storage in their yard. So then you get to a point where, okay, Long Beach, whatever yard is right outside Long Beach, they can only handle so much storage. Well,
Yep.
none of this stuff can go to Atlanta, or we'll ship as much towards Atlanta as we can. Okay, well, that all backed up to the yard.
Yep.
Now we cannot unload any ships. We can't get any tankers from customers. We can't get any. It would just, in a week, it could shut the United States down and reach all the way into Mexico and Canada
Yeah.
because we interchange with Mexico and Canada and could basically, I won't say necessarily shut down Mexico and Canada, but it would make it very hard for them to have business as usual with the railroad and
Yeah.
could basically shut the United States down with one city, one hub
Yeah.
going down.
Yeah. And it would take probably about 3 months once you get that rail up and running.
You know, like my anecdote earlier, one single train going down, we'll just say for 2 or 3 hours because of issues, mechanical problems, whatever, sets us back for 24 hours
Yeah.
to get things back to normal. So think of a week
Yeah.
of everything stacking up from every way that stuff comes into Atlanta. And it would stack up all the way into Canada, all the way to the West Coast, all the way into Mexico, all the way from the Northeast.
Yep.
So you think just locally, like we'll just say Atlanta to Chattanooga, one train going down for 2 or 3 hours screws everything up for a day.
Yeah.
So imagine a week of this spreading like a
Yeah.
cancer across the United States, but not only the United States, also into Canada and Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's actually a scary thought if you think
It
about it,
is.
because
It is.
people talk
because-
about the supply chain and all those things, but it's actually a scary thought because this would affect everybody. It would affect everybody in the United States. It would affect people in Mexico. It would affect people in Canada because we interchange both ways,
Yep.
you know. And even you would feel it.
Yep.
Not on the same degree necessarily as people in the United States, but there's still things that come from here that you need,
Yep.
and you wouldn't be able to get that,
Oh.
you know. So
And not only that, but like your smaller. I'm thinking maybe in the realistic terms, not your big railroads, not your Northern Pacific or anything like that. None of the big ones like Southern Pacific or anything like that. But your small railroads, would they be
They're-
able to afford to stay open?
because there's and a lot of people don't realize that either. They, at railroad crossings, you see the big name railroads,
Yeah.
But there are just in the United States, there are thousands and thousands of what we call short line
Yep.
railroads that have small amounts of track, but they service customers. They interchange with the bigger railroads like I work for.
Yep.
And like you said, could they carry on?
Yeah.
Because
Because
they don't have the deep pockets that the big
no,
railroads do.
no, they
My
don't.
railroad, they have the money that, yes, it would be horrible to them and the stockholders, but at the end of the day, they're not going anywhere.
No,
And
but
you
you're
also have to
small.
look. I'm sorry,
You're
go ahead.
you're small, like we would call mom and pop operation. I don't know.
Yeah, because you have short lines that have like 10 miles of track,
Yep.
and all they're there for is to service like an industrial park.
Yep. And then on the reboot, when the rails are running again, everything's going to be devoted to the majors, not the minor
Exactly.
leagues. Everything's going to be every inch of track, every inch of everything. They're not going to get to go operating right away. And if they are,
And
they're going to be commandeered to not haul what they're supposed to be. They're going to be no. These guys need this stuff moved. You're moving this. But what about no? You're doing this.
well, and you also have to think about mom and pop businesses because,
Yeah.
like I said, I've worked locals a lot in my career, which your viewers that don't know what that is, you basically are like a local truck driver that services local businesses in your town.
Yeah.
It's just rail cars.
Yeah.
So think about the mom and pop businesses that get like a tank car or a rail car, a couple times a week,
Yep.
but for a month. And then 3 months after that, just to put a number out there,
Yeah.
they can't get their rail cars.
Yeah.
Well, they tried to do it by truck. Well, by truck, it takes 3 or 4 trucks to get what they were getting by rail cars, and they have to pay the extra cost.
Yeah.
So, could those businesses
No.
even stay in business?
Yeah. So a lot of when we look at a situation like that, we always just look at, well, it's just this, right? It's just the rail. We would adapt and overcome. Not really. The major companies, yes, I agree with you. Yes, the major companies can afford to dish out the extra cash, but when you get the small town business that is, if we don't get our 6 customers a week that we normally get, we're screwed.
Yeah. And then
Kind of business.
And then for 4 months,
yeah,
you can't get your rail car. Okay, you get 1 or 2 tractor trailers in there, but you can only service like one of your customers because trucks can only haul so much.
yeah. And then you end up hooped. And not only that, but could you get the, because what you got to realize is, okay, they could get it by truck. Could they? Could they really? Because I'll tell you this, the railroads are paying top dollar for that truck.
Well, and right now,
Right?
specifically in the United States, trucking is basically maxed out.
Yeah.
They don't have enough drivers.
Nope.
They don't have enough equipment. And even if they try to get enough equipment and enough drivers, the infrastructure can't handle it.
No. So my point would be, okay, the Ma and Pa operation, they're going to go, well, okay, we'll get it by truck. Okay, cool. Here's the problem. All the trucks are already servicing down railroad.
Yeah, because the railroad's going to say, well, we got this train parked. We need these containers to get off of this train that's just sitting there.
Yeah.
So they do their best to get the containers off. Well, like I said, a 3-mile long train of double stacks, which could be one we call it a bucket, one single car can have 4 containers on it if they're 20 footers.
Yeah.
That's 4 trucks in one rail car.
Yeah. So they're
Make
already
that by 3 miles.
yeah, they're already purging all the trucks as it is. And they're going to go, "Okay, well, we'll pay you extra just to get this done." If you're a trucking company, are you going to go, "I'm sorry, big money, we can't take that big money. We've got to deal
No.
with the small
The
ma and pa over here."
the ma and pa is gonna say, "Well, we'll pay you an extra $1,000." And a big multi-billion company like I work for is gonna say, "Okay, hold my beer.
Yeah.
We'll pay you $5,000
Yeah.
to
So the
use
trucks
your
are going to be
truck strictly
for the railroad.
for the railroad."
Yeah.
And which do you think the trucking company is gonna do?
They're going to take the $5,000.
So I mean,
And the ma and pa, let's be honest, it's not going to be $1,000 extra. $100
well,
extra sometimes
yeah.
could break the bank,
If
right?
you're a small company and you get one rail car a week, which results to, we'll just say, 3 trucks.
Yeah.
So if you have to pay 3,000 extra dollars a week on your bottom line, can
You're
you
sunk.
afford that? If you're a
Yeah.
mom and pop, can you afford $3,000 a week for 3 or 4 months?
Yeah. And to the big railroads, that's a drop in the bucket. That's nothing to
I
them.
have a small anecdote talking about a drop in the bucket, and we can wrap this up. But
Yeah.
not the railroad I work for, but another railroad runs through the town that I live in. It is also a major railroad, and they were blocking crossings here in town. So the government of my town decided we're going to fine the railroad every time they block these main crossings through downtown. Do you know what the fine was? $1,500. Do you know what that means to a multi-billion-dollar company? That'd be like me fining you 50 cents.
Yeah.
If even that, it'd probably even be less than that. I read the article in the newspaper and I laughed so hard. I
It's
was
like,
like,
we pay more
15
for
yeah,
diesel than that.
it's
What
like
the hell?
$1,500 to them would be like you getting a soft drink out of a vending machine.
Yeah. We pay more on diesel fuel. What the
Yeah.
hell?
But
Yeah.
I don't want to say it would shut the economy. It would have a very, very, very major impact of the economy on the United States. It would also
Yeah.
affect Canada and Mexico, not to the same degree as the United States, although it would. I don't want to say it would crash and crush the
No.
economy of the United States, but it would have a very, very, very large effect on
I
the
think
economy.
without going into scare tactics, I think it would be COVID times 10.
Yeah.
Because at least during COVID, the rails were still running.
And the stock market
Oh yeah, there'd be people jumping out of buildings.
Yeah, the
Uh,
stock market would crash because even
Well,
bigger.
actually, I think what would happen in that case is the government would step in and close the stock market.
Well, yeah.
That's
And
what would happen.
the other funny thing is, in certain scenarios, it hadn't happened since World War II, but in certain scenarios, the government can basically seize the railroads of the United States.
Yeah.
But even if they seized them,
There's nothing running. Yeah.
the stuff can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So, and then you
All
end
right.
up with the red tape of bureaucracy.
Oh yeah, and then it would
Of
yeah, and
government.
then you're looking at a year. All right. So with that, I'll let you promote anything you need to promote, and we'll get out of here.
Hello, everybody. I'm Honstar. YouTube.com/Honstar. We do fun streams. Name that tune. Other random streams. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HonstarYT.
Awesome. And for me, I have my gaming streams every Tuesday, Thursdays, usually at 5 o'clock, unless I have something that comes up. And then I do karaoke on the Saturday at 9 o'clock. We have the What If series. I also have History with R&R. If you want, go check that out. It's kind of fun. We try to keep serious over there. But, once in a while I throw in a joke. But with that, thank you. And until next time, take her easy, folks.
Bye.